Welcome back. It's the Jack and Jer show. It is May 18th. It's a beautiful day in Philadelphia. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing if you subscribed. Today, we are talking a little bit. So actually, I've been tired all day, exhausted. I'm not sure exactly why, but I think it might be because I got the vaccine on Sunday, got my second vaccine, feeling pretty happy about that. But now I'm a little confused. I'm like super excited that I got it. I'm a little confused of what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to act, or what the next step is. So am I supposed to wear a mask now because I got the vaccine? I'm not really at risk. I still have to wear masks in stores. I know that's a protocol. Do I have to wear it when I'm outside? Should I wear it when I'm with others? I know CDC now said that you do not have to wear a mask if you and other people around you are vaccinated. But still, the messaging doesn't seem too clear.
No, I think the messaging is perfectly clear. This is what baffles me. The messaging could not be more clear. The CDC says this. The president says this. If you are vaccinated, fully vaxxed, it's been like the 2-week period, which I guess it sounds like you haven't fully gone through.
Right.
You do not need to wear a mask inside. You don't need to wear a mask outside. You don't need to be socially distanced.
So why is there so much confusion?
It blows my mind because basically what I'm hearing is that the state of Pennsylvania, which is where we're in, knows more than the CDC, knows more than like the White House. And listen, private businesses can do whatever they want unless they wanted to operate during the pandemic. And then obviously government has to step in and do theirs. So I think there's a huge element of hypocrisy. But I think the messaging is clear. What I'm really confused about is all these people that were like, we got to believe the science. And listen, I wore masks everywhere during COVID. If I was walking around outside by myself, because like I was trying to read more about it, and it was becoming very evident after last summer that this thing didn't spread outside, I felt that I could responsibly not wear a mask unless I was having a face-to-face conversation with someone, and then I put it on. But when are people that are vaccinated going to stop wearing masks?
It looks like a lot of people aren't gonna stop wearing masks, which like I don't know. I've seen. I don't want to sound like wrong and like call out a group of people, but Asian people have been wearing masks, I believe, for some time. Like at airports, I've seen people wearing masks at least 5-10 years ago, and I'm thinking maybe that's gonna be a new thing where like at airports people do wear masks moving forward. I don't know. I think that might be a thing, but I don't know if that's exactly what you mean by.
And you know what? If you feel yourself run down and sick and, have a cough or something like that, I think no matter if it's now or in the future, it does make sense. And there are some things that we can do, like wearing masks and, potentially washing our hands more regularly. But like, is it a status symbol now?
Yeah, it could be a little bit of a status symbol. And then what I'm a little curious of is like I feel like America has a bad habit of working through being ill, and that's something that I definitely think should change or could change. Where it's like, and being a teacher, I'll see kids come into school all the time sick, because either their kids don't or their parents don't want to deal with them at home, or it's not too bad. But that's how a lot of things spread. So it would be nice if people have a little cold, a little runny nose, that they don't feel forced to come in. I think that would be a pretty good change. What do you think of that? Or is that not necessary either?
I think that if you are not feeling well, then yeah, you shouldn't come in, and that workplaces should have some type of policy in place, which I imagine they do. Of course, if you're an employer and someone has now missed 30 days because of sick, then that's just a huge expense on the bottom line, and something might be up, and you hope it's not something chronic. And more of what I'm alluding at is to like people abusing it. But yeah, like I hope people may be a little bit more cautious with it, because one of the things that I learned is that this pandemic, like most others, or not even pandemics, just most other situations, is not spread by asymptomatic people. So people not showing symptoms. So this which is just adding on to this issue with mask, in my opinion, where it's like, I'm 30. I can think I'm probably in the top 90 percentile of health. I don't think I'm 99 or 98. But I'm fit. I can probably run 5 miles without even like thinking about it, like no problem. Do a bunch of pull-ups, whatever. I'm fit. My diet's like pretty good. Sleep pretty regularly. If I'm asymptomatic and I'm vaccinated, the idea that people are telling me to like wear a mask is like it's like confusing. It's like, this is what the science says. I thought like
Yeah.
we're trying to follow the science here. So
And
like, yeah.
this is where some people would probably say, "Oh, Jeremy, that's a little wrong. You can't say that." So I apologize if I offend anyone, but I would like to tell people, "Hey, you need to lose weight. Hey, you need to stop drinking soda. Hey, you need to start running some more." Because I feel like those are hurting society's health just as much.
Jeremy, 79% of hospitalizations because of COVID were from people that were obese.
Yeah,
79%, almost four
and
out of five people hospitalized were obese.
I have some compassion for obese people without a doubt, but to
I have
say
very small. You're more compassionate than I. I think that there's maybe 5% of people that have some underlying condition, thyroid issues, maybe. Maybe I'm just being an asshole here, but you may be compassionate. I'm not that compassionate. I just think people are lazy.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you at least a little bit. At least to the point too where it's like, hey, we're all last year, everyone's saying, hey, we're all in this together. People need to act differently for the whole society to improve. I don't get why that conversation isn't brought towards obese people. I really don't get why alcohol isn't attacked. I don't get why sugar isn't attacked. I don't get why meat isn't attacked and the fast food industry isn't attacked. Those are all making people fat and unhealthy. And like you said, fat and healthy people are the ones who are dying at a higher proportion than anyone else. So why aren't we trying to tackle being fat and unhealthy? And the easiest way to tackle being fat and unhealthy is probably changing our diets, but that's not discussed at all. And to me, that's like a little weird that I wasn't allowed to go to the gym last year, but I'm allowed to still get alcohol and candy in unlimited amounts. Doesn't add up, at least to me.
No, I'm with you, and it's definitely a hard position from the government, or more earlier on, because it's just like, if you're in the city, yeah, closing down these gyms. Like when I went to the gym in New York City when I was living up there, it was a busy place. And so, there's no social distancing, which they actually had a study that came out that said 6 feet doesn't fucking matter. You got to be
Yeah, I
like
saw that.
you got to be 60 feet away. So just more pseudoscience being thrown in our face.
Yeah.
That why are people like not talking about this? And like, there's people are afraid to get like in the elevator still of only two people, everyone's masked up and immunized. I don't know, but yeah, it's a tricky situation. I don't necessarily know in like those more urban areas, like going on walks and stuff like that. But like when it's the winter and it's gross out, yeah, like it's exercising, like doing a bunch of, like, I guess you can do burpee. There are ways to exercise.
Yeah. I Another like related question to, I guess, like the reopening is kind of what we're all talking about, how this is going to look. Would you be open to having an employer requiring a vaccine, or how would you facilitate that in a workplace?
I don't know how an employer could require a non-FDA approved vaccine. Like that just seems like this vaccine is not FDA approved. It's approved under the Emergency Cares Act, Emergency Act. I don't know, Emergency Authorization Act. I know universities and public institutions can, but they're public, so government funded and things like that. So they run by they're bound by different rules. How would I feel? There's a lot of reasons why people don't get vaccines. And maybe people don't get vaccines outside of COVID because either they have a immune issue or an allergic reaction issue or something, or maybe it's a religious thing or whatever. So what are we going to split hairs and be like, oh, if you're not taking it because you're 28 years old, 32 years old, and you're healthy and you just don't think you need to, versus a legitimate, or a different reason. I don't know. I would, at the end of the day, when it comes to private companies, especially employing, I think things are voluntary. And so if you don't want to work at a place that is going to require it, work somewhere else. Like the same way that, like, if you don't want to support Amazon, go get your stuff somewhere else.
Right. So let's say you had a job at a place that was requiring it. Would you think about leaving?
Like I did get vaccinated, and I thought it was kind of it was purely for appeasement reasons. But to not buck the hypo, but to address what you're talking about, you know what? It starts from the top. So if the people at the top are making this requirement, it just, to me, doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense. Because if the other people are vaccinated, then they can't get it. And so, like, who are you protecting? Because, like, you're not protecting me. And it would, like, rules are only as good as much as they make sense, which is why, like, for a long time I've been in favor of legalizing marijuana, weed, because I just think that anyone who's tried it just loses credibility, like, instantly, or like within 24 hours, whatever, with the government, because the rule just stops really making sense. It's like, how is this worse than drinking alcohol, and that's legal? And so, like, for me, it's like almost a credibility issue of, like, what other choices are they, or rules are they enacting that, like, isn't supported by completely sound judgment? Not to say that, like, getting vaccinated isn't probably overall a net positive. I just don't necessarily think it should be mandated.
Interesting.
What about you? Would that be an issue if the school that you're a professor for, if they came out and mandated it? Would you have a issue with that?
No, I'd be pretty I honestly I don't understand all the science at all. I don't think anyone really does too much, but from my understanding, I think there's just more possibility of variance and it mutating and continuing for kind of over and over and over if we don't kind of completely eliminate it. So,
But
like,
in that, but in
I
that
kind of
case, sorry, go
what
ahead. No, sorry,
I
go
kind
ahead.
of think I think that the virus or COVID or whatever is going to happen, I don't think we're out of this at all. I think the next few months are going to look pretty awesome and we're going to have a lot of fun and economy is going to come back a bit. But I'm not completely convinced that we're done. And I feel like next winter could be pretty horrific again, with new mutations. And I don't think it's going to be horrific like it was in the past. I think it's going to be more in different locals. But I could definitely see Florida and Texas having a difficult time. And I think that will be kind of pretty telling for the future or for how I'd feel in the future. I could be wrong. And if nothing happens in Florida, Texas, I'll be like, okay, doesn't seem like a vaccine should be required or mandatory or whatever. But if something similar to India happens in Florida or Texas, I think it'll be like, okay, it seems like the best thing might be to try and completely nip this by everyone getting vaccinated.
Yeah, but if it's variants, it's basically like the flu shot then, where we're gonna have to be taking these shots every year.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't get the flu shot. So like, do you get the flu shot?
not every year, but is the flu shot as fatal or is the flu as fatal as COVID? It,
Like you look like there was 30 million flu cases, 32 million flu cases 2 years ago,
and there's
or
none this year with,
and there was a couple thousand this past year.
yeah, that
Um,
was super weird.
yeah, hundreds of thousands of people die from the flu each year. This year, a couple thousand, 10 did like died. So like, I don't know, is the flu like more dangerous or not? Like, I think we're getting into like, you know, we're gonna get canceled by whoever if we actually debate that.
Yeah,
But that's something I kind of like have an issue with, where it's like, okay, the flu like disappeared. Is
no,
this
that was weird.
bad flu?
What does convince me though still a little bit is the net, whoa, the net amount of deaths was way higher than average. Like if you just
Oh, was it? I didn't
what?
know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was the total deaths of the world, like of anything, was higher than usual this year. So that just says something, I guess, or it's a little weird. Here's, I guess, I don't want to go too off topic, but I feel like this is something that has been not mentioned or forgotten about, and I'm like a little curious, and I don't want to sound like one of those conspiracy theory guys, like, oh, what about this? What about this? But it's like, hey, that was something, and it's now just not mentioned. Where did this virus come from? Um,
It came
like,
from China.
yeah, don't say that. But to be a year and a half later and not really know where it came from, because there's still debate. Did it come from a bat in one of those wet markets, or did it come from the Wuhan lab? There's no legit evidence kind of saying either way, which is weird that they don't know where this came from. Because like when they had SARS or one of the other viruses 10 years ago, whatever, they knew like this guy was in seat AC in this Boeing 365 and was on the ninth floor of this skyscraper in Hong Kong. They were able to trace exactly where the virus came from. Why can't they trace this one?
Because China just lied to the World Health Organization for months.
Yeah,
They they knew something was going on and they just didn't cover it up. Like early on, I think it was December or January, China locked down domestic travel, but didn't lock down international travel. Like looking back makes zero sense at the time. I don't know how much it was talked about. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. But I don't like, I think this is one of the unfortunate things of the Trump presidency, that legitimate questions that he brought up, because they're just tainted by him, aren't actually getting like addressed. Um,
true.
like, yeah, there's legitimate things that need to be evaluated in terms of like countries' responsibility to like the World Health Organization and like other countries when it comes to like potential issues like this. And it's a bit of a black box, and I don't necessarily know if we're ever going to figure it out, because it seems like a lot of it was covered up.
Yeah, no, it's and to me it's just wild that no one's even bringing it up anymore. It's like we don't care where this came from. It's just we just had it and that's it.
Yeah, and some of the things that stood out that I've learned that stand out to me, which I've heard lend credence to that it came from the lab, is that this virus instantly gets destroyed from sunlight, which is very atypical of a virus that's like in the wild or something like that, because like how would it survive otherwise? And some like other, I don't know if it's called genetic things when it's like deals with virus, but like I also know that like the absence of evidence doesn't actually prove like anything.
Mm,
So like it's kind of just like Yeah, but listen, I don't know. I'm not saying it came from a lab or it came from a bat. I really don't know. It just seems like it may have come from a lab, and like no one's asking these questions. And like for something that shut down the world for a year and a half, like you'd think we want to get to the root of this.
Yeah, and it definitely it's a little scary too that like I don't believe all the conspiracies that like China necessarily like let this virus out to like destroy everyone, whatever. But at the same time, um Pfizer did make a good amount of money on it from the vaccine. And it makes you think like now it seems like there is a little bit of an incentive of companies to release a virus to be able to get a vaccine for it. I don't think companies are that sick where they would destroy the world for that, but it makes you think like that it's incentivized a little bit, and maybe that's not the best thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna really go down that road because like I just don't think companies are that evil. I am a capitalist. I do think it is the best way to marshal
Definitely,
resources and that the pie gets bigger instead of someone just grabbing a part of it.
I agree.
And like I was listening to a podcast with I forget who it was, and like all in all, like people are being lifted out of poverty at unbelievable rates across the world. There's a lot of good that's happening. It was actually a good thing to read because things are kind of sad when you just watch the news because our news is super negative and I gotta
Right.
stop watching it. So I don't know. And again, I don't think China like was nefarious about this. I think they were just trying to like save face maybe, and like they didn't actually realize like how serious that this may have like become, or maybe they did. Like I'm really not trying to say like China's like this puppet master like doing all this negative things. I just think that they, from what it appears, they were silencing scientists and they were trying to just like protect their ass. And like there potentially should be repercussions for that. I don't know what they should be, but you know,
It should at
whatever.
least be investigated. I
Yeah,
agree.
we should at least get to the point where like, and maybe it is happening. Maybe I haven't seen this information. But yeah, one way or another, we should have a better idea of like what actually happened given the gravity of this situation and the like we're so globalized that like the potential of this happening again isn't just like it's going to happen again. Like in
Yep.
our lifetimes, it's almost 100% guarantee something like this is going to happen. It may not be as contagious or as lethal or whatever, but it's going to happen again. So like, why wouldn't we be
Figure it
spending
out.
a good amount of resources getting to the bottom of this?
Yep, it's gonna happen again, and it could be worse too, which hopefully it doesn't. But I think that's about it for my thoughts. I have something to share that I learned this week, if that's all right for me to go.
Yeah,
Um,
sure. Maybe let's
so
do it.
I learned that there's two ways to tie your shoes, and one of the ways is the right way, and one of the ways is not the right way. That you have to tie your shoes the long way. Is that right, Jack? Because I actually maybe I
Uh,
didn't learn it too well.
yeah. So I actually, when I learned this, the way I had to get myself to do it, because I was so used to tying it the wrong way, is that when I'd go to tie it, because I think so the right way is that you when you after you put the one lace together and you pull and then you go to do the bunny ears or the loop whatever it is, it's you got to go away from you to start and then over, and I think you pull through, or it's the opposite. But whatever way you're tying it, if you pull on both sides of the bottom where the shoe is, and if the knot goes vertical, it's wrong. It's or wrong.
And what
It's a
makes
weaker
it
knot.
wrong, or why is it bad to be wrong?
It's just a weaker knot. It
You're
won't
not.
stay tied as strong. So especially if you have like those other like almost leather laces or things like that that like always fall apart, it's just not as good of a knot. And
I I
it doesn't look as good.
I feel like there are certain laces that fall apart all the time. I never realized maybe it was because of the knot.
Yeah, just try it. Go tie your shoes instead of going towards you to start and then pulling through, go away from you and then pull through. And then notice how one of them will be more vertical and one of them will be more horizontal. So the stronger one is the more horizontal one. And then quinky
Huh.
dink, in my opinion, just looks better.
So
So
I learned that from Jack. Jack, where did you learn that from?
I actually learned that from a TED talk. probably like 10 years ago at this point.
And you remembered it for 10 years.
I tie my shoes a lot. So like, how do you forget?
True.
You need to
Good
tie your
stuff.
shoes in the morning. I go to the gym, I tie my shoes. I take my shoes off, I have to untie them. Like, it's almost as often as eating. Like,
Yeah, no,
I gotta do it a bunch.
that's very true. That's very true. Good stuff. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
No,
That
but
haircut is looking good, man. I can't say it enough.
thanks, man. I feel almost lightheaded. There's like a lot of aerodynamic stuff going on over
You
here.
look completely different.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't cut my hair for almost 17 months.
Yeah.
So it was a commitment, but it's gone. I feel better. No, but I got nothing to share. Jeremy and I are doing a little bit of a TikTok competition. Loser has to buy some equipment so we can look a little bit more professional for you guys. Yeah, I'm Jackie T-Bomb, TBAUM on TikTok, and I think Jeremy is what's your handle?
Namaste.
There we go. And so the competition has to deal with likes and followers and all that stuff. So if you're listening to this, give us a like, give us a follow, or give whoever you like more a like or a follow.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
No, I've enjoyed it so far. It's been cool, and it's really worked with like holding each other accountable and making me like participate more. So I've enjoyed it a lot. Sounds good though. Another dope episode, another dope time talking to you, Jack. I will see you next week. Have a good rest of the week. Enjoy your coaching, enjoy your TikToks. I'll be seeing you on TikTok, and I'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Talk to you later, Jeremy.